This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have Justin Vajko. Hopefully I did not butcher that too much. He does videos. He helps people with not like just the editing, but the creation and the strategy behind it to grow a business. But I'm gonna let him tell you more about that. But first, Justin, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks, James, for having me on.
Thanks for taking the time to add value to me and my audience. And let's kick it off with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so Dialogue's my company. We specialize in video, but the kind of video where we help you share your knowledge, your value on social media. So we're thinking LinkedIn, Reels, TikTok. Essentially, we help people create talking head videos of themselves. We help unpack that knowledge for them in our sessions, and then we edit and publish the videos for them. So literally, they only have to show up for 30 minutes, 60 minutes a month to talk with us about their subject material. We take that and we edit that and publish for them and help them become thought leaders.
Amazing. Yeah. It's such short video is king right now for discoverability, for nurture, for building a brand. So it's super important. And I got a little taste of it with you. Like we did that, a couple of videos that I just got delivered recently, and very good work. And definitely I'm always looking who are the best not just the video editing, because a lot of people does video editing, is who can get behind like the strategy, the creative direction, right? Like creative directors are in high demand right now because when it comes to technical skills, even AI does amazing work, but when it's what's the strategy, and what, like, for example, like you were asking me very key questions. We came up with a question so that way it was conversational, yet a talking head, like directly to the camera. We used different devices and really that direction. I think that's the most valuable thing. So that's super valuable. So on that note, right, then your expertise being here in video, what advice or actionable tips do you have for business owners that want to build a brand and want to use video for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what advice for business owners to build a brand with video? The first thing is, all right, so you're already saying, I want to do video, which, by the way, 100% of people I've ever talked to say they want to do video. So the problem isn't nobody wants to do, the problem isn't desire. The problem is action. So the trick with video is just getting started. And that's so much easier said than done, right? But it's the truth. So the number one piece of advice is just do it. It's not sexy. There's no tips or hacks here. You just got to get your first one, and then you got to do your next one and do your next one. There's a reason why gyms make all their money in January, February, March, is because that's when everybody tries it out. And then slowly everybody starts leaving because it's hard to build a habit. So when you want to do social video, you got to think of it as a long-term investment, at least 6 months, maybe more. And I would recommend more, because you're not going to see, first of all, results in yourself. You're not going to love the way you look in the beginning. And then you're not going to like the results in terms of what you're getting back in the beginning. The way to treat short form video is like you treat SEO, or you treat any other type of marketing that takes a long time to build. It's like planting a garden versus going out and hunting for your food. It's going to take longer to see results, but it's worth it in the long term, because like you said, James, video, short form video specifically, is the medium of choice now for being found online. So my number one piece of advice is just get started. And again, that's easier said than done. So one of the ways that I recommend is just have somebody ask you questions in a conversation and record it. Like, that is the easiest hack for getting around the fear of being on camera. And it is a real fear. Like, people get stuck. It's amazing how when we show up in front of the camera and we have all these things to say and we turn it on and all of a sudden, it all goes out the window, right? So the biggest hack around that, and you experienced that yourself when we did the shoot with you, is just to have a conversation, kind of like a podcast, but specifically for the purpose of capturing video. So if you find a buddy, find a colleague, somebody you know, like, and trust, have them ask you 5 prepared questions ahead of time. You send them questions and have them ask those questions during the session, and you'll be surprised at how much easier, not easy, but easier it is to capture video that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's so many ways. If you feel awkward about like looking at the camera, you can do a side shot. You can do different things and see what works for you, and then kind of work from there, right? I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. And you know this, right? How to, what's the best style, and also like the best moments in the day and all those stuff. Like I'm still trying to figure out those things. So I love content. I want to go deeper and deeper into it. And now I want to be moving to Puerto Rico. I'm going to be doing, a big priority is having my own studio, either built for me or rented for a little bit. So that's something that I definitely want to commit, even double down, right? Like I already been doing content. It's just a matter of just double down and go deeper into it, because even like having a media agency that funnels into arbitraging certain things, and then the people that I will be a fractional CMO, marketing coach, or just a consultant directly. But then there's only so much I can take of that. So if I build a lot of authority and visibility, having a media company, having a lot of content out, then I can use that influence, that attention to arbitrage that. So that's the plan, and that's what my advice to here, kind of piggybacking on what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in it. It's called, it's a form of personal branding, right? If you can build your reputation with a large number of people, I would argue the biggest path to success in life, no matter what kind, define wealth, happiness, family, whatever, is to build your network. Like the more people you have around you who trust you, know you, like you, like that will lead to success. And the opposite is true. The smaller your network, the smaller amount of people who know you, then you will have less success, because you could be the smartest person in the world, but if not enough people know about your knowledge, they can't put you in the right positions to be successful. So building your personal brand is essentially an act of, over time, getting a lot of people to know about you, like you, know what you do, what's problems you solve, and then trust you and say, hey, check out this one guy. I've never worked with him, but I've heard good things. If nothing else, that's what it can do for you. So it's really powerful for anyone in business who wants to stay in business over the long term. Because if you have look at famous people, like they're famous for the sake, like the Kardashians, like they're famous for the sake of being famous. They're never going to fail. Like if their business fails here, it doesn't matter. They've got, name brand recognition. They can build another business. There's a lot of power that comes with, you could say fame. I would say authority, with people knowing you and being willing to work with you. It's a huge shortcut to success. And I say shortcut, it's not like it's fast, but it's definitely a huge step on the platform to success, whatever you want that to be.
Yeah, I mean, you could be the best at what you do, but if nobody knows you, then you don't even get the chance to prove that you're the best. And the other thing is that, look at Mr. Beast. What does he knows about doing chocolate and burgers and things? He does nothing, but he has so much attention and authority and visibility that now it's easier. It's a lot easier to make a good product or a good service after you already have the attention of people than the other way around. Because the hardest is to build an audience. So that's such a long term to build that audience, that brand, and give value, build a community that is clearly there you're clearly there to help them more than to sell them. And the sell it is just an extra if people want to get more attention from you. But that takes so much time, that takes so much effort. After you have that, then building a good product, a good business in general becomes a lot easier. So, and what are some, we already talked about people not starting, right? That's obviously a big challenge and friction point. But let's say after they start, what do you think are the biggest challenges or friction points that people encounter working with you, or just in general, what you notice in the video and growing their brand?
Yeah. So starting is one thing, continuing is another. I mentioned that before, right? There's, you can go to the gym one day, but doesn't mean you're going to go every day. So the biggest challenge is creating a new habit, which is literally just building a neural pathway in your brain that's tied to the reward system of your brain. Like it's very hard to do something, especially something difficult long term, if you're not feeling a reward. That's why saving money is so difficult, because we don't see the reward. Our reward portion of our brain isn't activated when we put aside a few $100s every month. It's like it comes later. So that's discipline, and that's a habit. That's a habit of discipline is very difficult to build. So the biggest tip I have for people is you budget it into your weekly, your monthly calendar, and then you stick to it. Here's something that helped me. I wasn't creating my own video content until just a few months ago. I was helping clients and everything. That was fine. And then I realized, well, if I'm going to do this, like people are going to look up to me and say, well, how are you doing it? And you're like, I got to be able to do this for myself before I help my clients. So it was actually interesting walking myself through the exact same steps I help my clients with. And I found the biggest challenge was just doing the habit. It wasn't getting in front of the camera a couple times. It was doing it once a week, a few times a month, and building that habit. So here's what I discovered. This is just for me, this is not for everybody. If I budget a whole day to myself, which is now my Thursdays, so in 2 days, I'll be creating video content. That is the space I need and the time I need to do some, first of all, deep thinking. What's the research I need to do? What stats do I need to bring to the table? What stories do I need to craft before I get on video, right? Because getting on video is one thing, but what are you going to say that's valuable? That's all in the research and understanding phase. So I need a whole day to do that. And I do that. I invest in my business because I've learned, I used to do a half day. What happened is my half day of working for my clients and the other half working for myself, guess what happened to the client work? It would just kind of creep into the rest of my day because I always had an excuse not to do it. Because anything unpleasant, our brains will subconsciously, at least in my life, you tell me if this is for you, but at least in my life, if I've got busy work and I've got something unpleasant to do later, my brain will find every single excuse not to do it by getting busy with all this other work. So that's what used to happen. So now I have to do a whole day. Now, not everybody has to do 4 whole days. That comes out to 4 weeks in a month. Not everybody has to do 4 whole days. But the key there is I've budgeted it. And then the other part of that, and this goes back to some training I had a while back. I need to be my number one customer. Because at the end of the day, I'm building a business that helps me and it puts food on the table for my family. And that's a mindset that's tough to get. I'm not fully there. I'm not saying like that's me, but that's something I've really adopted in the last few months. When I started putting things off, I have to realize, no, I'm building my business. My business is the number one customer. I need to make this my number one priority. And it's amazing how that shift has really helped. It doesn't mean I don't help my customers less. It just means that I'm prioritizing the most important thing to me and my family. My customers will be, they'll come and go, but my family's always going to be here. My business, I'm going to always have to be here. So what am I doing to invest in myself and in my business to build my brand equity, so to speak, or my sweat equity or the value of my business, if nothing else? So the biggest tip to keep going is to budget that time. And then the second thing is to understand you are building the most valuable asset you have, which is yourself and your business. It's actually interesting. As I've done more video, I've found it to be really helpful for actually getting other unpleasant things done in my life, because that reward system, although I'm not, it's not triggering like all the reward things that I would like in my brain. By just doing it and continuing to do it, it's taught me to really value doing other things that are difficult in my life. So there's an added benefit there. If you just commit to something and you push through it and you do it, I'm not saying burn out, but I'm saying do it at a level that's healthy, like video marketing, then you're going to find it, at least in my case, it was helpful for other areas of my life too, to get those unpleasant things done.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. And one thing that came to mind is I saw this quote on a podcast that quoted somebody else, that it said, the magic that you're looking for is on the work that you're avoiding.
I like that.
And that, right, that was like, damn, like the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. And that just, the first thing that came to mind when you said that, and I completely agree. In the added benefit also, like for example, I do cold showers. So I do like a cold rinse, right? Like I shower, then I do a 2-minute cold rinse every time I shower. Like very rarely, like I like handful, maybe I haven't done it like this
You're a
year.
brave man, James.
And it doesn't really get easier, to be honest. It's just a matter of, I do it with the intention that I say like, oh, this is gonna help me be young and beautiful forever.
Yeah.
That's the funny part. But also I do it because of the discipline part. I embrace the suck. I know that sucks, and I'm not gonna die for 2 minutes of cold water. I'm just not gonna die. You know, and I do it, and then I got out of there.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, I put it on my face and everything, and then that like, it's hard for me to be sad or anything after. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I survived. Like, it's just that survival instinct, and I do it all the time. And now it becomes easier to do other things that I don't want to do, because I do those things.
That is so fascinating you said that. I experienced the same thing with working out. So I haven't worked out most of my life. I did 5 years ago, got a hernia, stopped, got back into working out a few months ago. And the same thing with the, budgeting the video time and pushing through. I like how you said that, embrace the suck, getting through that. Same thing with working out. And recently I think I have another hernia. Crap, oh, great. What do I do? Well, I stopped working out in the last 2-3 weeks. Well, guess what happened to the other parts of my business that were unpleasant, like creating my own content? They started to suffer. And there's a direct correlation, is what I've discovered, from doing putting myself in a situation where I'm willing and able and finishing the unpleasant thing, and the success of other areas of my life and business. So there's something to that, man. I bet somebody with a psychological degree could easily say, oh, that's because of this reward system thing, blah, blah, blah. But there's something to embracing the suck that is powerful for helping us actually build the things that are necessary for us to enjoy life or enjoy our businesses.
Yeah, definitely. And that embrace the suck, just so you know, is a very common phrase in the military. So that was something that was taught to me in the military, and it was what people asked me, like, what about the military was the thing that has helped you the most in life? I always tell them, and I'm embracing the suck, like, embrace the suck. That's something that for business it's translated so well. That's why that's might take like so many veterans become very good business owners, because they know how to embrace the first 3-4 years, like like you do in the military and all that. Like, sometimes you're in deployment, you got to embrace it. It's part of it. We're all together into this, and the mission needs to get accomplished. Same thing in business, right? Like, sucks, the mission needs to get done regardless. So that's the best thing. So you want to leave one last takeaway, something that you might not have punched in yet, that you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, so I've got a download on my website. It's one of the first things we put bits of value we created. It's going to get updated eventually, but it's basically 40 question prompts. If you're stuck with creating your videos and you're like, I don't even know what to say, get up there, get stuck. If you don't have that buddy I talked about earlier that can help you basically understand and like identify what are those things that make you good and help you have a good conversation, you can use these 40 prompts to help you get the brain going, to help you get that flow going, and hopefully help you open up on camera so you can start creating your own videos for LinkedIn and TikTok and places like that. So that's a free download on my website. I don't even have any emails, like, you won't get bombarded by emails. There's nothing connected to that. That's just an area in my business that's still underdeveloped, is those value add emails. So you can get that no charge, or just DM me, find me on social media, ask for it. I'll be happy to send it to you.
Perfect. So, on that note, what type of people are you looking to connect with the most, and how can people find you?
Yeah, so my main audience is executive coaches making at least 6 figures. I've got a coach; he's an executive coach. There's another executive coach in my network, and I'm working with a new executive coach on a program now, one of our video programs. And I just find executive coaches absolutely fascinating, because they're solving problems for executives at such high levels that most people never hear of unless you've been in the military, like the embrace the suck. Like, when you're under so much pressure as an executive, you get the best or the worst leadership advice. And some of the best leadership advice comes from these executive coaches. And I found it very satisfying to work with them. So that's my target audience. 6 figures, just because you got to be able to afford what we do, need to make money. That's the deal there. But we serve all sorts of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, who basically want to create more valuable video content. They don't know what to say. We help them figure that out. They don't have the time. We help book that once a month. That's our audience. Folks that really want to embrace video. They want to grow their brand, and they don't want to spend a ton of time. They don't want to do the editing. Like, nobody wants to do the editing. We do all that for you. We interview you, do the editing. That's all taken care of. So I'm a resource for folks. So I don't ever like to sound like I'm pitching. So this is all for folks to really learn from me. Follow me on LinkedIn. If you're like, yeah, that sounds great. Happy to be a resource for you, an open book. I have conversations with people all the time. They never buy, and that's totally fine. I just love to see people become successful with their video.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, I should be. We definitely should have intention on the things that we do. And hey, we're in business to sell and to get clients and to add value to the market. But ultimately, just, hey, like I just come here and hire me and like just begging for it and all that stuff, like obviously that doesn't work, right? So it's just a matter of building relationships, and after you build those relationships, and if there's a need, then business will happen. But without a relationship, it's really hard to trust somebody and you haven't seen them many times, unless you haven't talked to them but you've seen a lot of their content, right? And then you feel like you know them, right? And that's why it's so important to do
that's right
content, right?
And that's the key, James. That's the key. You just said it. It's not just knowing someone, it's consuming their content so that you trust them when you have a pain point they solve. And a lot of people aren't doing that, and that's why video marketing is so critical, because it's the platform of choice. Every platform out there, it has a video element or is video first. Just look at what Reels did, or YouTube Shorts started 3 years ago, and just look at TikTok. Like, that is the way now and for the future.
Yeah, it's the closest to real human interaction, right? When you see video, it's like having a little window now that you can see that person. Now lives too are like taking off, so that's another avenue there. So yeah, so thank you for taking the time to come here. This was very valuable, and we cannot stress enough about the importance of building a brand and using video for that. You can use that then video content in many ways. I mean, you record in one form, you can repurpose it, even writing and anything. So thank you for having this conversation with me. And I appreciate you adding value to me and my audience.
Thanks, James.
So this was Justin and Fu, and this is us signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Fu with your host, Fu. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.